Hey guys, I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Tiffany,
and we are Sisters
Sisters
of
of
the
the South.
South. We are here today, coming from our SOS studio to bring you another true crime story. But before we get started, I would like to ask that you hit the like button. Also, share the video if you think it's worth sharing. Also, we ask that if you could, to please subscribe in order for us to keep the channel going and to be able to get out all of our content to as many people as possible, as well as hit that notification bell so every time we upload, you get notifications that the Sisters of the South has dropped another video. Also, we would like to give a big shout out to SoFly.
So fly.
SoFly! They're a small family-owned business here in Houston that specialize in embroidery and laser work. And what they do is they take accessories such as caps, beanies, hoodies, t-shirts, and they will embroidery those and make them very special with anything that you would like, your name, your logo, anything like that. They'll put it on there, and they have an array of colors. Also, with the laser work, they can do patches, leather patches to put on caps or shirts. I just saw some work that they were doing on a cutting board, which was really cool. So they also do our merchandise as well, and they do beautiful work, and we're very proud of them, and we want to share them with you. And with the holiday season upon us, we think you ought to get out there and try them out and take a special gift and make it extraordinary. So any of your family or friends and loved ones, they would love to have a gift like that. So try them out. We'll put their information in our description box, and we're going to share a video to show you a little bit about what they are. So here we go.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that video. Please go check them out. Tell them we sent you. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Tiff and let her get started. So here we go.
All right, so in 1985, Ed and Wilhelmina, or Minnie, Maurin lived on a 120-acre farm located in rural Lewis County, Washington. Ed and Minnie were in their 80s and were very well known and active in their community. They had lots of friends and a very large family. Every year, Minnie hosted a party for a group of couples who belonged to her church and had scheduled the party for December 19th around noon. When people started to show up for the party, no one was home. This was not like Ed and Minnie. They were very punctual and very dependable. As time went on, with no sign of Ed and Minnie, party guests grew concerned and called the family who came over. The doors were locked, so they had to break a window in the back of the house to gain entry. The car was missing from the house, so they thought maybe Ed and Minnie had gone to the store or the church for something. Just after 6 p.m., the sheriff's office responded to the call and showed up to Ed and Minnie's home to do a walkthrough. They noticed some things were out of place. Minnie's purse was found behind the couch with a newspaper laying on top of it. Ed's watch was found in their bedroom on his nightstand. These were two items the family stated Ed and Minnie would never leave the house without. There was an open box of bank statements on the floor in the bathroom between the bathtub and the sink, which is something you don't normally see. While some of these things were unusual, there were no signs of a struggle or a break-in. Authorities thought maybe Ed and Minnie just got confused as to what date they planned the party. They did, however, send deputies out to search for Ed and Minnie until late in the night, but there was no sign of the couple. On December 20th, police found Ed and Minnie's vehicle in the northeast corner of the Yardbirds parking lot. This was like a popular store at the time. When detectives arrived at the scene, there was blood found throughout the front of the car and blood dripping down the outside of the passenger side of the car. The keys were still in the ignition. There was a red blanket draped over the driver's seat. There was a man's hat and a woman's white shoe on the floorboard. There were shotgun shells and cracks in the windshield of the passenger side, but there was no sign of Ed and Minnie. The car was taken in for processing. It was dusted for fingerprints, but there were no viable prints and no other evidence left in the car. Detectives go back to the home to dust for fingerprints and check for more evidence. Given the bank statements being in the bathroom, they made a call to the local bank. The bank tells detectives that Ed and Minnie were in the bank withdrawing money the day of their disappearance. Detectives find out that Ed contacted the bank around 10 a.m. on December 19th. Ed called and asked the bank teller to prepare for a withdrawal of $8,500 in cash. They arranged for Ed to come into the bank at a specific time, which was about an hour or so after he called. Ed told the teller he was helping a family member purchase a car, and that's what he needed the cash for. Investigators are concerned that someone made Ed go to the bank and withdraw the money. On December 24th, a passing driver found what looked like a mannequin on the side of a logging road. He pulls over to check it out and realizes it's the body of an elderly female. When detectives arrive at the scene and find only a female, they find a bullet trail to the right side of the body. Where the pavement ends, they find a blood pool, which they follow until they find false teeth, a pair of glasses, and a comb. All of this led to a male body. An autopsy confirmed that the bodies were that of Ed and Minnie Maurin. They had been shot with a sawed-off 12-gauge shotgun loaded with double-aught buckshot, both to the neck area, killing them instantly. Detectives worked through Christmas Day to try to narrow down clues to try to figure out who could have done this. The fingerprints that they were unable to get from the home were of family members, so detectives were certain Ed and Minnie had known the person who did this to them. Detectives start their interviews. Numerous people start telling detectives that they saw a green car with an elderly couple in the front seat and a younger man in the back seat. Witnesses from Yardbirds, where the car was found, stated seeing a man with brown hair and facial hair wearing an army jacket walking away from the vehicle with what looked like a gun wrapped in something. The witnesses helped give a composite sketch of the man, and investigators had it broadcasted on the evening news. Thousands of tips started coming in, but one seemed worth investigating. It was a tip regarding a young man that had been involved in petty crimes that had a lot of similarities with the sketch. The tip was regarding Michael Hadeler, Ed and Minnie's grandson. Detectives brought Michael Hadeler into the station for an interview. Michael denied everything, so he was asked if he would take a polygraph. He said he had nothing to hide, so he took the polygraph. Michael claims he was with his dad, Dennis, around 5:30 a.m. the morning of December 19th. They were on their way to work. They saw Ed and Minnie's lights on at their house, which was unusual because they normally didn't wake up that early. Michael passed his polygraph test. Yeah, I was worried about that too. I did not want this to be the grandson.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that freaked me out.
In 1992, 7 years into the investigation of Ed and Minnie Maurin's murder, detectives called in help to look through the thousands of tips they had received. One tip they found told them to look into Robin Rife. Robin Rife was the estranged wife of Rick Rife. Rick Rife and his brother John Gregory Rife were well known to law enforcement. The brothers had a reputation for being rough, especially Rick, and they were constantly complaining about not having enough money and needed to figure out a way to make more money. I don't know. Get a job?
Right.
That's other people's solution to needing money.
Right. I don't get it.
I don't either. Okay.
Lazy people.
No joke. Investigators find out that the Rife brothers had moved to Alaska in 1987, and no one locally had heard from them since they left. However, they did locate Robin Rife. She was serving time in Arizona for a drug-related crime. Investigators contact her caseworker, and he agrees to put Robin on the phone. Robin says it was late at night, and she dropped Rick and John Gregory Rife off about a mile from where Ed and Minnie Maurin lived. Later the next morning, she got a call from John Gregory asking for her to pick him up. They drove to a scene where she saw a body. She remembers her husband Rick saying to his brother John Gregory, "Get her out of here." So I guess she's like, "Okay, guys, see ya.
Right?
Go about your business."
That's odd. Mhm.
Investigators hope that Robin Rife's statement will help have Rick and John Gregory Rife arrested for murder, but there is a problem. Given Robin's background and criminal record, the elected prosecutor at the time didn't feel comfortable going forward with charges based solely on her testimony. In 1992, Lewis County detectives, assisted by Alaska State Troopers, went to Alaska to interview Rick Rife. Rick voluntarily gave an interview and provided police his fingerprints, palm prints, and a hair sample. Rick stated that he used to have a green Army fatigue jacket and that John Gregory probably had one as well, but denied that either him or John Gregory were involved in the murders.
Well, of course. He's going to deny it.
Well, yeah. Well, didn't we all have an Army jacket back then? I mean, sure. Detectives also interviewed John Gregory Rife, who was also living in Alaska. Alaska State Troopers assisted in serving a warrant and obtaining John Gregory's fingerprints and hair sample. John Gregory initially denied killing Ed and Minnie Maurin, but then said, "I don't know. I need to think about it." And he began to cry and terminated the interview.
Interesting.
Because that's not suspicious.
No.
3 more years pass, and it's 1995, 10 years after the murder of Ed and Minnie Maurin. There is still not enough evidence to take the case forward. About every 6 months, detectives would call and check in with Robin just to keep in touch with her until one day her father informed them that she had just passed away after heart valve surgery. Now, without Robin, investigators have nothing against Rick and John Gregory Rife. More years passed, and it was now 2009. The lead detective retired, and a new detective took over the case. He was able to blow up and colorize photos from the time and called in past witnesses to look at these photos. The witnesses were able to point investigators toward the Rife brothers. The new detective was able to get in touch with a family member of the Rife brothers. She tells them she remembers them coming to her house for Christmas in 1985. The brothers had lots of gifts for everyone in the family and a bag full of drugs.
Hey, that's the best kind of Christmas right there.
Dang.
What the heck?
That was a Christmas party.
What in the heck?
Who does that?
Well, I guess we're fixing to find out what kind of family.
Well, they had no jobs, but yet they were showing up at the family Christmas party with lots of gifts and drugs.
They weren't asking no questions.
No. They're like, "Oh, yeah, just pass that right on over here."
Oh, my God. Stocking stuffers. Ugh.
Santa and his sack of goodies. God. Investigators tracked down another lead. When Robin had initially given her testimony, she also mentioned someone by the name of Les George. Les George was a friend of Rick and John Gregory Rife. About a week prior to the murders, the three of them had been hanging out, and Rick and John Gregory were complaining about not having any money. That's all they did. They were driving, and they passed Ed and Minnie's home, and Les makes the statement that if they were looking for money, those people have a lot of it. Who does this? Like, hey, you need money? They got some.
Where are they getting money to drive around, put gas in their car and drive around in the first place?
I don't know. And sadly, I didn't even think about that. I'm just wondering why he's pointing people out.
And don't get me wrong, gas might have been a little bit cheaper back then than it is now, but if you don't have a job, that can get expensive just driving around, even looking to scope people out to figure out how to steal from them.
I'm not complaining about not having money. Not that I have a lot, but I have a little. And I don't like driving around in my car, just
no.
hem-hawing around.
Take the gas that's in your car and drive it for a job interview.
To that store.
Come on.
that was so popular.
I mean,
I bet they had some job opportunities.
yeah.
So
Well, they
let's,
probably wouldn't hire them because obviously they have a reputation. But
of
anyway,
course.
at least try. Jesus.
Well, yeah, say, you know what? I'm done. I need a job.
And you know what's scary is there are literally people out there who will drive around and think, "Oh yeah, they've got money," and they just because they've worked hard all their life, and it looks like, and they're probably living comfortably, but they're probably not, just rolling in
But first of all, how do you think they got
millions.
their money? Second of all, that's not your place to take that money. They
No,
worked for
it's
that.
not your money. Go get a job. Oh, these losers. I just can't.
Well, Les also remembers about a week before the murders, Rick offered to saw down a shotgun for him so he could put it in his truck for protection. Because that's normal.
Mm.
Les claims it was hard to get his gun back. It wasn't until after the murders that he finally got his gun back from Rick. Les stated that he felt there was something wrong with the timing of getting his gun back and that it could have been used in the murders, so he put it in the closet at his parents' house. His father also had a bad feeling about it, so he took the gun and threw it in Mayfield Lake. Let's not turn the gun in.
To the cops. Yeah.
Let's throw it in the lake. Authorities were never able to locate the shotgun.
Of course.
So finally, investigators have motive, testimonials, and a pile of circumstantial evidence. In 2011, the new lead detective presented his case to the prosecutor, who decided it's time to file charges. Arrest warrants are signed July 8th, 2012. The day that the arrest warrants were signed, the lead detective found out that the previous week, John Gregory Rife died. There was still one arrest to be made. Detectives fly to Alaska and surround the home of Rick Rife. Rick Rife agrees to let the detectives inside. Rick absolutely denies any involvement in the murders of Ed and Minnie Maurin. Eventually, detectives tell Rick that he is under arrest for the murders and read off the charges against him. The only thing Rick said in response was, "Welp, looks like I'm gonna need my medication."
Wow.
Sure, bag them up. Let's go.
How did he get the money to pay for that? I mean, I'm sure he's still a loser after all these
Yeah,
years.
what'd they do when they got to Alaska? I mean,
Yeah. I mean, because if you're going to make money over there, I'm sure you have to work. That's blue
you could
collar
make money
country.
anywhere.
But I have heard that they have, a lot of drugs that go on over there. Maybe he was running some drugs or something because, I mean,
Probably.
when you show up at Christmas with a bag full of drugs, that's a possibility. But again, loser.
Mm. So on July 6, 2012, the state charged Rick Rife with first-degree murder, counts 1 and 2, first-degree kidnapping, counts 3 and 4, first-degree robbery, counts 5 and 6, and first-degree burglary, counts 7. All counts carried special allegations of the following aggravating factors. 1, particularly vulnerable victim. 2, lack of remorse. 3, accomplice. In addition to the 3 special allegations, counts 3 through 7 contain the special allegation of deliberate cruelty, and count 7 contain the special allegation of victim present during burglary. The trial took place in October and November 2013. 90 witnesses testified about the events on December 19th and 20th, 1985. Now, they never came forward because they were scared of these guys.
Mm. They knew the law wasn't doing anything.
Well, yeah, they've been
To
over there
apprehend
doing
them.
all this stuff.
Yeah.
The jury found Rick Rife guilty on all counts and their aggravating factors. The trial court sentenced Rick to 1,234 months in prison, which is 102 years and 10 months.
Great.
In 2014, a 38-year-old woman came forward to testify that she was abused by Rick Rife when he lived with her mother when she was 10 years old, calling him the monster from her past. She said, "Because of the horrible things this man has done to me and my family as a child, I have lived in fear of his name. When hearing about his arrest in July 2012, she said, I froze with terror, then cried with joy when he was incarcerated. My life has been a roller coaster since then." So this guy is a complete scumbag.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I can say about
Yeah,
him.
not just a
Worthless.
loser.
He killed two wonderful elderly people for $8,500.
Yeah.
Which he spent on drugs and Christmas presents.
That doesn't even get you by for a year.
No.
You know,
And it was split
God,
between the two.
get a damn
Job.
job.
Make better choices, people. So I don't get it. It's horrible. But this guy, like I said, complete scumbag. He ruined everyone's lives around him.
And people lived in fear because of him and his brother.
Everyone.
You know, the sad part is his brother died before the police could get to him to arrest him as well. I mean,
and it sounds like to me he would have eventually admitted to everything, his brother. I mean, I think he had a little bit of remorse eventually.
We're talking at this point, what, 25 years by the time his brother passed. So how much more time did he need? That's a long time to live with something like that on your conscience. So did he have a conscience?
And you have to wonder, was he scared of his brother too? Because his brother was the worst one.
Well, that's highly probable. Highly probable.
That's not an excuse.
No,
that's
it's not
just
an excuse.
That could be possible.
But yeah, that could be. But oh, gosh, this is a horrible story.
It broke my heart.
Yeah.
So guys, let us know what you think about the story. Leave some comments about your thoughts and
yeah, what do you think about it? Have you heard about the story? I've never heard this story, and it blows my mind. And we still know that there are people roaming around out there with this mentality, which is extremely scary, that you can just be living your life. It doesn't matter how old you are, elderly, you've been through hard times, you're just coasting along in your golden years, and then some loser piece of crap can just decide one day he wants to take it all from you. And here we are, talking about two beautiful people who raised a great family and were loved, and they were active in their community, and they just took it all.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to sign off for today. But until our next episode, remember to see the good and stay imperfectly perfect. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank
you.